Okay, so to everyone here, new and returning, I see you. I genuinely see you. The comments you leave, the way you show up here, even on the days when showing up anywhere feels like too much, that matters to me in a way I cannot fully express. Something brought you to this specific reading today, and I think by the time we finish, you will understand exactly what that something was. Now, let me tell you why I am apologizing. I have to be honest with you about something. I almost did not record this. Not because I did not want to, because I did not know how. Because what came through when I sat with your energy was so far outside the territory of what I usually deliver that I spent a significant amount of time just sitting with it, trying to find the right entry point, trying to figure out how to say something this large without it sounding like exaggeration, without it sounding like the kind of inflated promise that gets made in this space sometimes and then dissolves before it ever becomes real. This is not that. What I am about to tell you is not inflated. If anything, I am still finding the language for the full size of it. And that is why I am apologizing, because I have been reading for Virgo for a while now, and I have been telling you true things. I believe that. But I have been telling you true things about a version of your story that is smaller than the actual story. I have been reading the chapter when I should have been reading the whole book. And the book, Virgo, the book is extraordinary. Let me tell you what happened when I sat down today. I had no specific intention, no particular question. I just opened to your energy the way I always do, with the specific quality of receptivity that this work requires, and waited for whatever was most present to surface. What surfaced was not an impression. It was not a feeling or a theme or an energetic quality that I then had to translate into language. It was a person, specific, vivid, present in the field around you with the kind of clarity that only belongs to someone whose arrival is not hypothetical, not a possibility being assembled somewhere in the future. Someone already in motion, already moving through the world in the direction of your world, already closer than you would believe if I told you the actual distance. And when I felt the quality of this person's energy, when I registered what they carry and who they are and the specific frequency of their presence in the field, I had to stop. I put everything down. I sat with it for a long time because what I was feeling was not just the arrival of someone significant. It was the arrival of someone who operates at a level that most people in your current life do not operate at. Someone whose sphere of influence, whose reach, whose position in the world is genuinely, measurably, undeniably elevated above the ordinary landscape of daily human interaction. High profile is the phrase that kept arriving, and I want to be precise about what I mean by it, because high profile does not only mean famous, it does not only mean wealthy or publicly known or visibly powerful in the conventional sense. High profile means someone whose presence changes the room they walk into, whose network is deep and real and built on genuine substance rather than performance, whose word carries weight in spaces that matter, whose attention, when it is directed at someone, has the quality of a door opening that was previously closed. That is the person entering your life. And I am sorry it took me this long to see the full scope of what was coming for you. Let me sit with who this person is, because I feel them clearly enough to say something specific, and specificity is what separates a real reading from a vague one. The first thing I feel about them is gravitas, not the performed kind, not the carefully constructed authority of someone who has learned how to present power, the real kind, the kind that comes from having actually done something, from having navigated something difficult and emerged on the other side of it with both their integrity and their ambition intact, which is rarer than most people realize. This person has been tested significantly. And what the testing revealed was not weakness dressed up as strength, but actual quiet, unshowable strength that does not need to announce itself because its effects are visible in everything around them. The second thing I feel is that they are selective, extraordinarily selective, not in the cold, dismissive way of someone who uses selectivity as a power move, in the way of someone who has learned through real experience the cost of misplaced trust, who has been in enough rooms with enough people to have developed an almost immediate sense of who is real and who is performing realness, who does not invest lightly because they understand the value of genuine investment and have no interest in dispersing it carelessly. This person does not let many people in, and they are letting you in. Or, more precisely, something in them has already registered something in you before any formal introduction, before any deliberate exchange. The way certain frequencies recognize each other across distance before the physical encounter has a chance to confirm what the energy already knows. They have felt you coming, just as you are about to feel them. I need to stop here for a moment because something is pressing through that I was not planning to address this early in the reading. But I have learned to follow the order things want to arrive in rather than the order I planned for them. There is a question living in you right now, not the question you would ask out loud. The one underneath that, the one that has been there for a long time, quiet and persistent and slightly embarrassing in the way that our deepest questions are sometimes embarrassing because they reveal how much we want something we have not yet allowed ourselves to fully claim. The question sounds something like this: am I actually someone that a person like that would choose? And I want to address that question directly and without softening it, because the answer is not simple and you deserve the real version rather than the comfortable one. The honest answer is that the version of you that exists right now, sitting in this reading, carrying whatever this current season has placed on your shoulders, operating from the assumptions about yourself that this particular chapter has produced. That version has some catching up to do. Not because you are not enough, you are, but because there is a gap between who you actually are at your deepest and most authentic level and who you have been allowing yourself to be in the daily expression of your life. A gap between the size of your actual capacity and the size of the container you have been living inside. A gap between what you are genuinely capable of receiving and what you have been telling yourself is the realistic ceiling for someone like you. That gap is closing. And the arrival of this person is both the evidence of its closing and the catalyst for the final closing of it. But I want to name something that I feel is important and that the previous readings for Virgo have not named with enough precision. The identity you have been living inside, the careful, measured, let me not want too much, let me not expect too much, let me stay within the territory of what seems reasonable for someone in my position identity. That identity cannot walk into the room this person is standing in. not because it is bad or wrong or something to be ashamed of. It is the identity that kept you safe, that managed the cost of disappointment by limiting the scope of desire. That protected you from the specific devastation of reaching for something enormous and being told no. It is a brilliant piece of self engineering, and it has to be left at the door. Let me bring the cards in now because I feel them pressing forward, and what they are showing is specific enough to add real texture to what I am describing. The card that came through first for you is the World. And I want to sit with the specific weight of this card appearing in this position for this reading because the World is not a card of small completions. It is not the card of a chapter ending or a season shifting or even a significant personal breakthrough. The World is the card of a full cycle completing at the highest level, of someone arriving at a place of genuine, integrated, embodied mastery that then becomes the foundation for an entirely new and entirely larger cycle beginning. The World appearing here says something specific about where you actually are in your development, not where you feel like you are, not where the current circumstances suggest you are, but where the actual energetic reality of your evolution has brought you. You have completed something enormous. You may not feel the enormity of it from inside it. That is almost always how it works. The people who have just finished the most significant internal work of their lives are frequently the last ones to register the scale of what they have completed because they were too busy doing it to step back and see its size. But this person can see it. From wherever they are standing, looking in the direction of your energy, they can see the completion, they can see the level, and that level is what called their attention to you in the first place. The second card is the Emperor, and this is the card I want to speak to specifically in the context of who is entering your life. The Emperor is not simply power. The Emperor is power that has been organized, structured, applied with intention toward the building of something lasting. This is not chaotic force or random influence. This is deliberate, strategic, fully conscious use of position and resource and reach to create tangible, visible, real world outcomes. The high profile person entering your life carries emperor energy. They build things, real things, things that exist in the physical world and that affect people's lives in measurable ways. And they are looking always for the people who can inhabit the structures they build with the kind of genuine quality that makes those structures worth building. You are one of those people. They know it. You are still learning it. I want to describe what I feel the actual encounter looks like, not the imagined, romanticized version, the real one, because real is always more interesting than imagined. It will not be what you expect. Nothing about this person's entry into your life will follow the script you might unconsciously write for it. It will not be a dramatic, obvious, unmistakably significant moment that announces itself as life-changing in real time. It will be something more ordinary on the surface. An introduction that seems almost accidental. A shared context, a situation, a conversation that begins without fanfare and then goes somewhere that neither of you fully anticipated. But there will be a moment, a specific, brief, slightly electric moment where something passes between your energy and theirs that does not belong to the category of ordinary exchange. Where something in you recognizes something in them, and something in them recognizes something in you, and both of you feel it, and neither of you will immediately know what to do with the feeling. Pay attention to that moment. Do not file it under imagination. Do not explain it away with the comfortable rationalization that you are probably reading too much into something. Do not protect yourself from it by minimizing its significance before you have had time to understand what it actually is. Let it land. Does something in you already know this is coming? Not as a hope, as a sensing, a feeling that something is reorganizing in the landscape around you, that certain situations are falling away, not randomly, but with the specific purposefulness of things, making room for something that requires more space. Have you been feeling a pull toward different environments, different conversations, different levels of engagement than you have been accustomed to? Tell me in the comments if this is already moving in your energy. Tell me the one word that describes what this reading is touching in you right now, because I want to know. And because this community holds what you share here with genuine care, now I want to talk about the why now. Because timing in these readings is never arbitrary, and the specific timing of this arrival deserves its own examination. Something happened recently, not necessarily in the external landscape of your life, although possibly there too, something internal, a shift in the quality of how you hold yourself, a subtle but significant adjustment in the relationship between who you are and who you have been allowing yourself to claim to be. A moment, perhaps unremarkable from the outside, perhaps completely invisible to everyone around you, where something that had been held at a distance finally moved closer to the center. A permission granted to yourself, not for something specific, for something more foundational than any specific thing. Permission to be the size you actually are, to take up the space your actual presence requires without immediately apologizing for the space or shrinking back into something more manageable. That permission changed your frequency. And this person operating at the level they operate at, with the sensitivity that genuine achievement tends to produce in people who have achieved for real rather than for show, felt the frequency change. You became visible to a different layer of reality. Not because you did something different externally, because you finally stopped arguing internally with the full size of what you are. I want to speak to something that I feel is sitting in the energy for some of you specifically, something that is more vulnerable than anything else I have touched in this reading, and that therefore deserves to be handled with the most care. Some of you are afraid of this, not of the person, of what the person represents, of the version of your life that becomes possible when someone at this level of influence and reach and genuine substance chooses to bring you into their orbit. Because that version of your life requires you to be visible in a way you have been carefully, deliberately, intelligently avoiding. You have been managing your own visibility for a long time, controlling how much of you is accessible, how much of your actual capacity is on display, staying slightly below the level of your own potential in the specific way that keeps you safe from the particular kind of exposure that comes with being fully seen at full size. I want to speak to that fear directly. It is not cowardice. I want to say that clearly, The management of your own visibility has been a form of intelligence, a response to something real, to moments in your past where being fully visible produced an outcome that taught you accurately that full visibility carries risk, that being seen completely by the wrong people or in the wrong context or before you were ready can cost something real. You learned a real lesson, and the learning of it has been protecting you. And it has also been the thing standing between you and the level of life that is actually waiting for you. Because what this high profile person is offering, not explicitly, not yet in language, but in the energetic reality of what their attention and their presence and their decision to let you into their world means, is visibility at the right level, in the right context, with someone who has the capacity to hold what they see rather than be overwhelmed by it or made threatened by it or moved to diminish it. This is not the wrong person to be fully visible with. This is the exact right person. And the question is whether you can let yourself know that before the fear has a chance to argue you out of it. Let me speak to what this opens, not vaguely, specifically, because the World card and the Emperor card together are not speaking only about a personal connection. They are speaking about a reorganization of your entire life landscape. This person carries a network, a real one, built over real time, through real substance and real relationships. And when someone at this level brings another person into their world, they do not bring them only to themselves, they bring them to the entire architecture of what they have built. You are about to be introduced to rooms you did not know you had access to, not through luck, not through being in the right place at the right time in the passive accidental sense, through what you actually are, through what this person is able to see in you that the people in your current landscape have not had the capacity to fully see, through the specific, real, entirely earned quality of who you have become, through everything this season and every season before it has asked of you. What opens is not just a connection, it is a new context for your entire life, a context that matches the actual scale of what you carry rather than the reduced scale that previous contexts have required you to fit into. And that matching, that specific experience of finally existing in a context that can actually hold the full version of you without requiring you to edit yourself into something smaller and more manageable. That is going to feel like coming home, to a home you have never been in but somehow always knew existed. I want to give you something concrete to carry out of this reading because emotional resonance without practical grounding dissolves, and this reading is too important to dissolve. The first thing, start auditing the ways you have been making yourself smaller, not to punish yourself for the smallness, but to become conscious of where it is happening so that you can make a different choice when this encounter arrives. The reflexive self-deprecation, the habit of crediting others for things you did, the way you sometimes let your thoughts stay thoughts rather than letting them become words because the words feel like too much. Start noticing, just noticing. Consciousness is the first movement. The second thing, begin operating at the level you are going to be asked to operate at before you are asked. Not performing it, actually practicing it, making decisions from a more expanded sense of what is possible for you, allowing yourself to want what you actually want without immediately scaling it back to something that feels more realistic. Realistic is a cage built by previous experience, and previous experience did not have access to what is coming. The third thing, when the encounter happens, and it is happening, do not perform composure. Real composure is different from performed composure, and people who operate at the level this person operates at can feel the difference immediately. Real composure is the natural steadiness of someone who knows who they are. Performed composure is the effortful management of someone who is afraid of being found out. One is magnetic, the other creates distance. Be the real thing. You are the real thing. You have always been the real thing. You are simply arriving at the moment where the right person is positioned to confirm it. As we close, I want to speak to something I have been feeling throughout this entire reading that I have not yet named directly. There is a grief in this arrival, not because the arrival is bad, because every genuine arrival requires a departure, and what you are departing, even though it was never fully right for you, has been home in the only way home is ever home, through familiarity, through the particular comfort of knowing its dimensions, of knowing exactly how much space you are allowed to take up inside it, of knowing the rules even when the rules were too small. You are leaving familiar smallness for unfamiliar expansion. And the unfamiliar, even when it is magnificent, even when it is exactly what you have always deserved, carries its own particular quality of loss. Let yourself grieve it. Not for long, not in a way that becomes an anchor, but enough to honor what the smaller version of your life cost you and what it gave you and what it took to survive it with the specific grace and dignity and fundamental wholeness that you have somehow remarkably managed to maintain through all of it. You survived beautifully, and now you get to do something other than survive. Virgo, I want to leave you with this. The high profile person entering your life is not entering it to save you. They are not arriving as a rescuer or a solution to something broken or a replacement for something missing. They are arriving as a mirror, the specific, clear, unclouded mirror of someone who operates at full capacity and who, in seeing you clearly, will reflect back to you the version of yourself that you have been arguing with for too long. The version that was always too large for the containers that have been offered. The version that knew, even when knowing felt arrogant, that something larger was coming. The version that kept itself intact, kept its standards, kept its depth, kept its genuine quality of care and precision and warmth through every season that asked it to be less. That version is about to be met by someone worthy of meeting it, and the meeting is going to change both of you in ways that are already in motion, already closer than you think, already arriving. Tell me in the comments what this reading opened. Tell me if this confirmed something you have been feeling in your body but could not find the words for. Tell me which part of this landed in the place that needed it most. I read everything. Until next time, Virgo, someone extraordinary is looking in your direction. And what they see when they look is someone equally extraordinary looking back. Stop apologizing for the size of that. It was always true.